Child's Play is the remake of the 1988 film of the same name, this time with Mark Hamill voicing the murderous doll. I saw the original Child's Play maybe about 2 years ago for the first time, and I didn't think it was that good. I actually don't remember that much about it, other than the basic setup that the soul of a serial killer is transferred into a doll and then starts killing people. It's a silly plot, but Chucky has become like a horror icon and the film has a cult following. It's actually surprising that there hasn't been a proper remake of this, although there have been 6 sequels, only one of which I have seen. So I went into this thinking that it probably wasn't going to be any good. It would be by the numbers, beat by beat retread of the first Chucky film, and I would feel like I had wasted my time, but I'm surprised to say that I actually kind of enjoyed it. The main reason I think was that it does something different with the material, but not too different. They still have the doll and he kills people, but they lose the whole serial killer voodoo angle. And this time instead, Chucky is like a child's doll AI with the safety protocols taken off by a disgruntled worker in the factory where he's made. And because he's programmed to learn and be a child's best friend, he starts interpreting the child's wishes in these violent ways and killing people so the child will spend more time playing with him. He can also do things like record what he sees and hears and play it back, which is fun too. They also add the element that Chucky acts like an Alexa, or at least what I think an Alexa does based on snippets from ads on TV and cultural osmosis. But basically, Chucky can control the other electronics in the house that are made by the same company as him, which in this universe is basically everything in the house that runs on electricity, so he can turn off the lights and the TV and control driverless cars and drones and stuff like that. The opening scene is incredibly over the top in execution, but it was all that I needed. Why is Chucky like this? Because some random guy got pissed off and sabotaged a robot doll out of spite. Done. Didn't need to be more complicated than that, and I actually like it a lot more than the original. Then the rest of the film, right up until Chucky starts acting violent, plays out like a live-action Pixar film with a single mom and her son with his talking doll friend and the friendly cop neighbor and the weird over-the-top cartoonish friends he makes, and I found myself really getting into it. Aubrey Plaza plays what I first thought was the older sister of the boy, but she explains that she's his very young mother in like a throwaway line. And I liked her a lot at the beginning of the film because she's very dry and funny and doing everything you'd expect Aubrey Plaza to do, but once the plot gets going, she really takes a back seat and we don't get to see much of that character. It focuses more on the kid and he is likeable enough. So Chucky starts acting up and no one believes the kid until it's too late, and that's all there from the original as well. The thing that sets this apart from the original most, other than the AI aspect, is probably the tone. The tone is all over the place, but it didn't feel confused. There was such a stark contrast from scene to scene that it made the film play first and foremost as a dark comedy. From the first moments of the film, all I could think was, this feels like RoboCop, with the over-the-top commercials for their products and the giant corporation that seems to own and produce everything, and the very cynical way everything is presented and a slightly futuristic setting, all felt very 80s and very much like a Verhoeven film. And then near the end there's this unmistakable reference to RoboCop.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Although I think it would have been even better if it was much more violent. I mean, it is violent, but it's not Verhoeven violent. The gore should have been more over the top. There were a few things that I was thinking about while I was watching this. A lot of the ideas that have come before, like RoboCop and Toy Soldiers and Terminator and Chappie and Black Mirror, especially that new episode with Miley Cyrus, Sliver, and any movie or TV show episode where there's an AI that controls the environment, or like a house, kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Mark Hamill plays Chucky and he's really good. I didn't think that he would be because I was picturing him doing his own version of the angry, sweary Chucky that Brad Dourif voiced.
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
But he doesn't. He's given Chucky a more friendly voice, which is much more creepy. I also liked how it didn't focus very much on the police investigation of all the murders. I remember the original doing that more, and it's frustrating to watch because we already know who the killer is, so watching some boring cop character just eat up the screen time with his investigation only to discover information that the audience has known since they were sitting in their homes and hearing that there's a movie with a killer doll in it come to theaters soon. There is a cop and an investigation of sorts, but it's a small part of the story. The film did have problems though, and the main one was that it wasn't scary, which wouldn't have been much of a problem if it didn't seem like that's exactly what the filmmakers were trying to do a lot of the time. There are a good few cheap, crappy jump scares and a lot of tense scenes with the kid looking around for the doll in the dark, and I wish they just hadn't tried to scare me and focused on the humour and the gore. It's better when Chucky's using his record and playback feature to terrorise the kid than it is when he's trying to haunt him from the shadows. The doll seems to be a practical effect most of the time, but when it switches inexplicably to CGI, it's very noticeable, and I don't understand why they would need to do that. It's a doll, for fuck's sake. There are a lot of setups that I don't remember them paying off, like the kid is partially deaf and wears a hearing aid, but I don't remember that coming into play in some way later in the film, other than he drops it at one point, but it doesn't really affect anything. There's also a line that a character says that I found to be needlessly racial. An asshole character is killed in like a watermelon grove out the back of his house, which is weird with the watermelons, but it comes into play. There's a reason for the watermelons to be there. But the cop that finds the body is a black man, and he says something like, a white man dead in a watermelon patch. How poetic. What the fuck? I mean, I'm not wrong, right? That does sound like a racist thing, doesn't it? And it might have made sense if the dead guy was a racist or had been acting in a racist way to the cop earlier in the film, because they had run into each other, but he didn't. They didn't even communicate. All the cop knew was that the victim was cheating on his wife. Not a great guy, but Jesus Christ. This comes out of nowhere and makes the character, who was incredibly sympathetic and well acted by Brian Tyree Henry, just seem like an asshole. I nearly said it out loud in the cinema. I was like, wait, what? What did he just say? There's also a character who has like hidden cameras in everyone's apartment, like William Baldwin in Sliver, and a few of the camera angles that he has are just impossible. Like, we're looking at three people eating dinner at a table, and the hidden camera seems to be embedded in like the fourth empty chair at the head of the table. Nah, it just seemed really, really wrong. I'm going to give Child's Play a C+. I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would, and I liked that they did something different with it, even if those different things have been done many times before and done better. But still, I enjoyed it more than the original, and I would recommend it to horror fans and people with a bit of a sixth sense of humour. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps the channel grow. And follow me on Twitter at @LookToTheMovies. Please comment down below and let me know if you've seen Child's Play, what you thought of it, if you agree or disagree with any of my points, or if you have any points of your own. I'll be back soon with more reviews, and I'll see you then.